my best friend. She a real bad bitch, got her own money. She don't need no nigga on the dance floor. She had 2-3 drinks, now she twerking. She throw it out and come back in. That's my best friend. She a real bad bitch, drive her own car. She don't need no lift in a strip club. No, my girl gon' tip. Now she twerking, she throw it out and come back in. Best friend, you the baddest and you know it. Uh-oh, girl, I think our booty growing. Fuck it up in the mirror, hit them poses. Best friends and you motherfucking glowing. Best friends and your wrist is like it's frozen. Uh-oh, girl, I think our booty growing. Fuck it up in the mirror, hit them poses. Best friend, you my motherfucking soulmate.
Hello, welcome back. I am Crystal Shayna.
And I'm Selina Ringel. And
we
this
are
is
Selina and Crystal Have Friends.
And this is Roscoe.
Hello.
Tell us things, Roscoe.
Just tell you anything?
Tell us things.
No, tell us a hot topic.
A hot topic is LA's open.
Oh God, yeah, it's been
Fully?
depressing.
We have it. It's fully open. Like everything is optional. Like
No,
masks are optional everywhere if you're fully vaxxed.
Private places will say, but we require a mask, and I'm fucking vaccinated, so fuck that shit.
Yeah,
But I saw in Starbucks today that a mask is optional if you're fully vaccinated.
did,
And that was very exciting because I was
got
very
some looks.
uncomfortable and it was very hot out. And I was wearing my mask and then I saw that it was optional and it was very exciting.
Yeah,
I left the U.S. for a while.
Yeah,
Yes.
I went to my gym earlier today, and it said vax up or mask up.
Yeah.
So
I
if
feel
you're
like that's
vaxxed,
fair.
then you don't need to wear a mask.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I'm already
And Trader Joe's.
Do you have to show
and
your card
Ralph's
now when you go to the gym, or they
and
just it's honor
Bevmo,
system?
all was fine. Yeah, it's honor system.
Honor systems is suspicious,
Guys,
but okay.
Yeah, it's very suspicious.
Yeah.
Good.
Because I trust me, but I trust very other people.
I don't trust.
Fine.
I don't trust humans.
Yeah, gross. We're disgusting.
But
Humans are disgusting.
I don't know. I mean, it's felt there's like a weird energy. Also, people are driving like crazy because of that. You notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait, what
everyone's
do you
just
mean?
like everything's open.
God.
Pandemic's
Traffic is
over.
back.
I'm
Traffic
just
is
gonna
back.
run around
LA is
and
back.
hit people
Yeah.
with my car.
LA's back. No, you're right. LA's back.
LA's back and crazier than ever.
Speaking of LA being back, we
Yeah.
have an amazing guest today.
I'm so
Amir
excited.
Mathis, who is a very dear friend of my entire family and both of us, and also the number one person I like to just stay up till the dawn with, partying, having a good time. He is the most outgoing, loving human being, and he also has professional things, which he does.
Oh, great.
He's
He's also
He also has a job.
on a
Yes.
side note. On a
great.
side note, he's a TV producer. He worked at Warner Brothers. He produced shows like Keke Palmer, Ice-T and Coco, Steve Harvey. You might recognize his father's last name, Judge Mathis, one of the most famous daytime TV judges. And he's the executive producer and star featuring a reality show featuring his family that we'll be filming this summer, and it's going to be huge. We've already seen the sneak peek because we're super special.
It's amazing.
And it's
super exciting.
It's so good. They're shopping around. He might or might not tell us what network. I already know. But it's gonna be huge, and their family is freaking amazing, and we're so excited he's on the show.
Yes.
And Roscoe had something very special to tell him. Is there something special
did?
you had? Yeah, you're special. He had a special hot topic.
Oh,
for
yeah.
Amir.
That's true. You had a special
You had a
hot topic.
special-
Yeah. I was I know he's into boxing and Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather
There you go.
hugged it out.
They hugged it out. He stayed in 8 rounds, so
They hugged it out.
he did pretty good.
I want to hear
He's also pretty.
Amir's
he's kinda
thoughts
handsome
on
guy.
it.
He's
Yeah.
kinda handsome.
I want to see what he thought about that ridiculous display of
Affection?
boxing.
Oh. Clearly, I
And
didn't watch it.
They made out. Yeah, it was fine. Yeah.
Lots of snuggles
There's a lot
in
of
the
tickling.
ring. It was
Well,
cool.
very exciting to bring our guest in. And then, and Roscoe, what do you think you're going to make for this lovely guest?
Drinky poo.
A sipper. He seems
Okay.
he seems like a cool even keel guy will do like a grapefruit old fashioned variation.
Oh, yeah, I love that. That sounds
like
great.
it.
Sounds
Awesome.
citrusy and delicious.
Yeah,
Okay,
more than
great.
sipping. More
Yeah.
than sipping. More than sipping.
We might be chugging out.
We might be taking some
I
shots.
might
sip
have.
all night.
We are here now with Amir Mathis.
Oh, thank you.
Yay!
What a great introduction.
We freaking love you, but in a real way. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, the people that are on the show are our friends. It's true.
That's true.
We have friends.
We do. We have friends.
But like, we very specifically and specially love you, Amir. Yeah. Like,
Oh,
my
I love
whole
you guys,
are we
too.
saying he's our favorite guest?
Well, we're not saying our favorite, but like, I'm just saying that he actually is a Shayna.
When she said that we party into the sunrise, we have partied until the sunrise.
Oh, I have been there. I have
Many
been there.
times.
I've been there a few times.
Yeah.
I've
No,
been
you
there.
have been there.
Yeah, I have. No, I know.
But, but you'd be like,
Not every
"Okay,
time, but I've been there.
Okay, I have responsibilities. I'm leaving.
Yeah, Amir and I are like,
and the thing is, so
I've been
so-
there pregnant.
So yes.
Yes. Halloween.
we've been there very pregnant and breastfeeding.
Halloween was a very
That
fun
was so
day.
fun. That was so fun because my brother, his name is Kyle. Shout out Kyle, we love you.
Shout out Kyle.
He's one of also Amir's best friends, and Kyle's always like, every time he hangs out with Amir and I, he's like, Amir and Crystal always make new friends everywhere they go. They're talking to everyone. They just want to talk to everyone, and they just want to stay up all night. And I was like, yeah, my boo, yeah.
I
Love you, Amir.
love meeting new people. I love like making a random person smile.
Yes.
Kyle got mad at me one time at Coachella.
The chapstick.
No, it was eye drops, which I understand
Okay.
completely.
Please,
because
tell the story.
me, I drop eye drops away from my eyes.
Still disgusting.
Some
if you share
some people put their eye drops on the corner of their eye, which I didn't know about.
Also,
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we were at Coachella inside this rave tent, and Kyle gave me his eye drops, and this girl next to me is like, "Can I use the eye drops?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course."
Oh.
She
Oh, no,
didn't-
that
she-
would make him
But
mad.
she didn't touch the eyes, but she did it regularly.
Kyle tells
and
this-
Kyle was so angry at me.
Kyle tells the story. He goes, Amir asked for my eye drops. No, and it was also a chapstick. And I gave it to him, but I said,
I would never
you
share
can
chapstick.
have this as long as you don't share it with anyone. And he was like, yeah, he goes, the next thing I know, Amir's sharing the eye drops with all the people. I was like, sounds like Amir.
Yeah, sounds like Amir.
But fun, loving, and making friends, and a huge, bright star inside and out. Really, like,
Oh,
that's
yes.
like,
you.
yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
that's like,
And I'm so
yeah.
excited. I watched the promo for your show, and it looks so good.
Yes.
And I want to hear a little bit about
Yes,
it.
tell us about filming. Tell us
Yeah,
your
of course.
involvement, which has been
Well,
a very
I mean-
long time.
I mean, so I'll just say this: I'm not supposed to talk about this right now,
tell
Okay.
us things.
but
Tell
I
us what
will-
you
I'll
can
I'll
say.
I'll be as vague as I can without giving myself away and getting in trouble.
Okay.
Okay.
So about 2.5 years ago, I came up with this reality show based around my family, and my family, like you mentioned, my dad's one of the longest running daytime TV shows. Period. He's been on
Yeah.
TV for 24 seasons.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Famous
yeah.
Wow.
daytime TV.
And
I
Judge
mean,
Mathis.
Yep.
And I was
Big
just
deal.
like, our family is very like exciting and crazy.
And
Like,
fun. Every single person in your family is fun
We're
and cool.
fun, cool, and fucking crazy.
Yes.
And I think that like,
I love crazy.
I came up with this idea, like, you know what, we should do a family reality show. And everyone's like, and I actually brought it up to my family and everyone agreed. And so like when I got there, because I was like, if I do this, I'll become an EP of a show. Lifelong dream. I'll like, it'll be my show. My dad is a producer. I said, Dad, I don't want you to be involved in this. I want to do this for my production company. He's like, okay, go at it.
Wow.
So when I told everyone,
That's awesome.
when everyone agreed, I immediately was like, okay, I need to get this shit in writing. So I had my entire family sign
Oh, that's
contracts.
so funny.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, you have to.
I got a
You
lawyer
have to.
immediately.
Oh, no, you
and
have
I got
to.
a letter of
Sign
intent
this.
from every single person,
Good.
and everyone was down. And I think that it at the beginning, like we talked about stages before this, and like I'll go back to that, but basically I would say that no one believed in it until like we had our contract signed with the network for a
Yeah.
presentation, which is like a 25-minute piece, a fake episode, all in-house. And once you do that, the network says, we're going to take this show to series, or
Yep.
we're going to, you're just going to pass on it.
Yeah.
So right now we're in the stages where they are making that decision to greenlight.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
There's
we've-
no way they're not going to greenlight it.
Yes.
I mean,
say.
we've already heard that
It is
they're,
gold.
they're,
It's
they're I mean,
gold.
they're asking for our schedules, and and
That's amazing.
right now we're in June, and like they're like, what are your July schedules? And so that's always like
That's
a very
literally next month. Are
next
you
month.
ready? Are you ready to be like the next big reality
No.
star? Are you
mean-
gonna
Big
still be
reality
nice?
Here's the thing. I've been ready for 2.5 years.
And
No.
how are you gonna
Okay.
change?
I'm
Are
sorry.
You gonna change?
I'm sorry. Listen to
Are you
this.
gonna stay the same?
Am I going to change? No, I'll say this. When I moved to LA when I was 15 years old, right? From and I'm like named whatever, but like it's like fuck it. I moved to LA from Michigan in 2005. I was 15 years old. I'm Holland Estates. My 4 houses down from me was Paris Hilton. Became good friends with their family, and I used to go out clubbing with them when I was like 16. And I tell people like since I was 16, I've always felt that I was the star. And so like I just feel like I grew up in an entertainment family. My dad's been on TV for roughly 23, 24 years.
Yeah.
And if I were in a financial family, then I would go into finance. If I were in a family that my dad's a lawyer, half my siblings are lawyers, my brother's a politician, and then I am an entertainer or entertainment.
Yeah.
So I think that you follow your parents' footsteps.
Well.
Okay, I'm mixing up my words because
My
this is
dad's a very famous physician. He's actually one of the best nephrologists in the. And I was like, I don't like blood or mucus, so none of us will be going into your field. But thanks, Dad.
How does your dad feel about that?
He was like, listen, he was like, you would have it very easy. He helped invent the dialysis machine. He's actually like
Right.
an actual genius.
Of course.
And he was like
The modern day dialysis people.
No,
like,
I mean, he's like,
seriously,
he's
if
actually
you
like
have
that.
liver
He's-
problems,
yes.
thank
His kidney,
Dr.
but
Shane.
yes,
Kidney.
Different organs.
I swear, I've been
But you
saying.
know, pretty
This is
much
my.
Roscoe
Okay,
has something to
before
say.
the cameras, this is
But
my
I will
fourth
say-
drink.
I will say this,
I
my
have liver problems, probably.
my dad.
Oh.
A disclaimer: this is my 4th drink. Before the cameras even rolled,
A couple shots
before I
and
said
just not
a couple
quite.
shots and 2
I'm very
drinks,
sweaty right now. So
and this one's really good. We're going through a heat wave right now.
I
my
know.
dad
It
also
Our first
really
one.
it was
is.
90 degrees today.
90 degrees.
But my dad was like, listen, he was like, you would have it very good if any of my 4 children went into the medical field. He's like, if you don't want it so bad, don't do
Yeah.
it. Because, I mean, the amount of work you have to put in, you have to want it
Yeah.
fucking bad.
Exactly.
Or don't do it. And I was like, no, I just don't like
No, I mean, it
mucus.
does not sound
Exactly.
good
No.
to
Exactly.
me either.
And so,
It does not.
so I went into entertainment.
But you know what the beautiful thing about like successful, like having successful parents or like parents who worked their hardest and like
Yeah.
found their passion and excelled in it, they know that it's like it's not about like what you do. It's the fact that we're providing this privilege for you to like
Yeah.
follow your passion.
You get
Yeah.
to,
And like
I love
a
that.
lot of
Happy.
people don't understand that because it's a rough world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that like my dad, who came from literally nothing,
Yeah.
he told us, he's like, I don't care what you do. Okay, well, so one time when I was in middle school, when I was in elementary school, we had career day, and I was like, Dad, I want to become a mechanic, a car mechanic. Like I love cars. So he had me like, you have to follow someone that worked in that career.
Yeah.
So I followed my uncle who worked as a car mechanic, and I came home that day, and my dad was just like, hey, I wanted you to like have that experience, but like what I want you to think about is instead of being the car mechanic, you can own the car dealership and you can
Yeah.
still work on the cars.
Yeah.
I like that.
So it's like, he always pushed me to be like,
The best in your
be passionate and
Yeah.
have a career, but also like don't have a low ceiling. You
Yeah,
know?
no, think
Like,
big.
yeah, like
Think
Hell yeah.
big and like know that anything you want
Exactly.
to do is a possibility because he's
Yep.
trying to give you
Dream
all
big.
the
Yep.
opportunities.
exactly.
That's
And
amazing.
I'm about to be 30 years old and EP of a show.
What? Are you 29?
I'm 30 right now.
Okay, I was like, get the fuck off this podcast,
no,
okay?
no,
If you're
29.
29 years old, you're not welcome here. I'm joking.
No, but it's
Okay,
like
30 and over only. No, I'm joking.
I love this. No, but 30 and over.
I'm kidding. I'm
You
kidding.
guys have to get some TikTokers on here. Just so,
I just got on TikTok, actually. Just got my dog
I love
on
TikToks. I have to follow you.
Yeah.
I have,
Oh,
like,
really?
I have
Elton
very
John the dog,
like
Elton John the
abstract
dog.
videos. Mine are just like so weird.
Oh, really? Fun.
Mine's not the average TikTok, but I will say,
I don't follow you yet. I need to.
I will say that it's since I was 20 years old in my first like show, my dad's just like observe and like see what it takes to like sell a show, have ownership, and like one thing in TV is you have to have 2 things to create a great show, or one or the other. A great talent who is with you and like will work with you, will take you to the airing process, or a lot of money. And it's like, so all of when I was thinking about like you know, who's the biggest talent that I know? Like, how can I get someone on the project? I'm like, well, shit, he lives in the fucking house down the street. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it kind of spiraled from there. It's like, you know, it's especially when you know you have the talent.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
you guys haven't hung out with my family per se, but you know my brother and I.
Yeah. No, your dad has so much charisma.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so do you.
But like, and
You-
he
I mean,
is that where?
you
I mean,
guys
but
get
so
that.
does your mom, and they just made like
Yeah.
so many charismatic children. Like,
They did.
But
They
like,
did.
you're all beautiful, shining stars. Like, but your parents are bigger than life. I mean, when you see the show, you guys are gonna know. It's just like you'll have the door open to their world.
I would say this
It's
about
like-
my parents. I think, and this is how I want to be as a parent. It's like, and especially like after 18, I guess, you know, it's like, you know, before 18, I feel like my parents are kind of worried about us because you don't have a chance to prove yourself in the real world.
Yeah.
But like when you're 18 and you go to college and like, you know, graduate college and get your first job and things are going well, it's like if you realize that your kids don't have, you know, addictive personalities or like, you know, or put partying before work and things like that, it allows you to kind of sit back and just be able to have fun with your kids.
Yeah.
And I think that like we all went through our struggles, you know, before college and during college. I think that after we all like found our place, we all just were very happy in like where we were in life. And, like I drink with my parents. I like
Yeah,
I could go to a club with my parents.
Yeah.
And like take shots with my
That's
dad
what I
and
want
like
to do with my kids.
and they know that by
Yeah.
Monday like we're back to work and we're
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
I
that,
love
like,
that.
anything.
Yeah. But it's also like, you know, we got very fortunate because there's 4 kids and it's
Wow.
like,
It's a lot
you
of
know, to have, you know,
that many siblings is
and
so
I'm
much
telling
fun.
you though, there have been some issues like, and I think that like you take all the roads to find out who you are.
Yeah.
And once you do, you have to like be like, okay, I'm in a good place. My kids are in a good place. Like we can now the fun
Now
the
the
fun,
can, like,
fun
chill.
starts.
yeah, now the fun begins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what
Absolutely.
about, so, because like I know you worked on a bunch of other shows as
Yeah.
a producer
Yeah.
before you had the concept for this show. So
Yes.
how do you feel like that informed this, or like what, like how was that journey tied into what you're doing now?
So I would say the biggest thing about me is that like I hated working on other people's shows. Seriously.
True
I mean,
entrepreneur.
I
You
think
know, you don't wanna work for
honesty,
someone else.
Like,
yeah, I hear you.
Hated making someone else a lot of money, and I'm getting I'm doing all the brunt work and none of the recognition.
Yeah.
And you know, I worked on a lot of talk shows. You started like in PA, then you do associate producer, and then
Yeah.
you become a producer.
What's great too is that you started, even though your dad's at the top, or you know, it's like a lot of kids.
Yeah.
I think, especially with privilege, they think like, I'm CEO now, but like
Right.
you actually work
Right.
from the bottom top, and you did that.
Well,
You
listen
know.
though, listen.
Yeah,
When I'm out of college, out of college, my dad has a very successful production company. He's produced like 10 shows. He's won an Emmy from just producing, not even from his show.
Yeah.
And I remember when I got out of college, he, like after a year, he made me like executive vice president of his production company. And I was just like, I don't know shit. Like,
Yeah.
I really didn't. And like after that, like I had to talk with
Never
him.
mind, I take back what I did.
No, but it's very but what you're saying is almost the truth, because some people like take those roles and they believe that they've earned it, and they stick in that role.
Yeah.
But I literally told my dad, I'm like, Dad, like I've been working for you, and all I know is like how you run a production company.
Yeah.
I don't know like how, you know,
Yeah.
how a real production company works.
Yeah.
And so I actually left him. I worked for him for a year out of college, and I started working for Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
And on their development shows, and like actually learning from people who are, you know, there's so many ways of how to run a show. Like, you know, you can run it by fear or run it by love. And I think that like the new age of us, you know, in this environment, is like it's by love.
Hell yeah.
I agree with that.
And I think that, you know, I'm not saying that my dad runs it by fear.
Oh.
Dad.
I was scared.
Oh, okay.
No, but I think that like
the truth comes
you
out.
just learn like these different methods of how to like make people happy about working for you.
Yeah.
And I have worked on shows where like I hated going into work.
Yeah.
Because like from the top down, it just wasn't a good environment.
Yeah. And I think now
Yeah.
more than ever, there's some real consequences. And I think
Very.
it's really good because
Yes. Yeah.
it for so many years there wasn't. And I think
Yeah.
people are really changing how they want the workplace to be and what the environment should be.
Yeah,
And
even on the other side,
Yeah.
it's like you notice how much better the workplace will be.
Yeah.
If like you're always making sure that everyone that works with you is really happy, the workplace like so much more gets produced. It's just such a better.
Yes,
You
yes.
actually make more better
Yes.
things.
And also creativity actually flows in happiness so much more. Like if you're constantly
100%.
making someone feel bad about themselves, their creativity actually gets stunted. And a lot
Absolutely.
of times there's a
Yeah.
lot of like idea paralysis,
Yep.
which like I've had a lot of friends who've been in writers' rooms where like I didn't even want to pitch an idea because I
Right.
was constantly being shut down. I felt really bad.
Yeah.
So I would start not saying my ideas.
Yeah.
And that's like the opposite of a good writer's room
Yep.
because it's like what you really want is for everyone to be like
Yeah.
open, loving,
An
having fun and being like,
ecosystem and-
how
Yep.
stupid
Yeah.
would this be? And someone else is like, that is brilliant. Put that on the board. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah.
Man, it just relates to even COVID, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, okay, you have all of this time to create. You're at home alone. Like some people got laid off or whatever. It was a very dark time for new ideas because like people were
see
their like ambitions were stunted.
Yeah.
And like you realize that a lot of these ideas come with the fact that people like having new experiences and like going out and like literally like seeing things and being like, wow, that could be a TV show. And I feel like throughout this past year, a lot of writers that I know and like people who thought that they would, who've been praying and like, if I had 2 good months, I could create like the best show. And people were given that opportunity and like they couldn't.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, you really need like an positive environment, like good vibes and just like,
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
and just like a good state of mind.
And how did you? So you kind of created in this kind of promo or the teaser for the show.
Yeah.
You like created some of the scenarios. How did you think of them? Were they like?
So can I I don't want to, it's a funny story.
Tell us.
So, I mean, I've known my family is a TV family for so long. And so my family, I'm from Detroit, and about 2000, it's such crazy. 2017, we have a community center in Detroit. So like, I was like, you know what? We have this community center. It needs to be renovated. How about a family reality show about us renovating community centers? And I'm like, fuck yeah, I got it. And like at this
I
point,
mean, that's a good idea too.
no, it was
I'm down for
great
that.
idea,
Yeah.
great idea because you get the dynamics of us arguing about what
Yeah.
this and that, and it's
Yeah.
like it's
And, like,
comedy,
working
it's
together.
funny, all these
Yeah,
things.
So much.
But I was like me producing it by myself. Like I was like, you know what, I can do this alone, and like I'm telling you, collaboration is key in this
Yeah.
industry.
100%.
But I was just like, you know, it's my production company. I wanted all the glory. So like I fly to Detroit like a month before like my family's supposed to fly in. I'm like, I hire this contractor and I just find myself tired, overworked, underfunded, and I have really bad ADD, so I'm just like this, that, and like just nothing structured, right? And so it literally like it was like me and this guy, and he had about 4 workers, but like they were a half into it, whatever. But like the idea was my family would fly in the last weekend and pretend like they were there, like
Yeah.
renovating
Like,
it with
this
me.
road.
Like I would leave like sections of the place
Yeah,
like
God.
unfinished,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it could be, this is only like to sell the show.
Yeah.
And so I had this camera crew, like local camera crew. So like once they actually got there, I was so exhausted. I had like this crazy beard. I looked like a bum. And like I did like interviews there with my family. I did like portions of us, but my interviews were like I look like a crackhead.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry. I look
Tell us why.
I look cracked out. Because I was so exhausted and
Yeah.
like full
You were
of
burnt out.
I was burnt out.
Yeah.
Literally, I was talking to the camera like, oh my gosh, like yes, my family, like I'm the youngest, and like it was so terrible. And also at that point too, I'm used to being the producer behind the camera asking the questions. So for me, there was no one asking
When you
questions.
jump right in,
Yeah.
There was no one asking questions.
Yeah.
I was like answering my questions without someone asking me.
Yeah.
There was no one to like feed on my answer. It was just so bad.
Yeah.
But the good thing about this is, so after I did that experience and I got all this great footage of us renovating it and like everything was great except for like I was so embarrassed by my interviews that I was just like, I can't even like work with this. So I kept it on the burner for like 3 years. And then 2018, when I came up with this show idea, I basically used a lot of that old footage from that point to create a system. No.
Oh, okay.
So the teaser was funded by the network.
Okay.
That you guys saw.
Yeah.
That was funded by the network for in-house only. To sell the show, which I did through COVID, I had to like show them a glimpse of our family. So I showed them like a 2.5 minute video that I created through found footage from that incident.
Oh, wow.
I redid my interviews and I redid like because my niece Nora wasn't even, she was such a baby then.
Oh,
like,
and she's such a star right now. How old is she?
She is
Good job.
she's 4. She's
She's
4.
an actual star.
Not
Just
doing
a little
well
fuck
with that
session.
question.
Nora
You had to
is,
think too
is
long,
an
Amir.
actual star. She's so charismatic. I mean, she gets it from the
I
family.
think I need a bump of Red Bull.
She is she's one of my favorite people to watch. Actually, everybody in the show is, I will say,
Yeah.
I mean, as I'm watching, there's so many stories that I got really connected with just in
Right.
that 30 minutes. I wrote you a text afterwards. I mean, I'm not
Very great
I-
critique. I'm not critique, but
no, my constructive
critique.
criticism, but
Constructive,
but
yeah.
my thoughts on it. I mean, it was like I laughed, I cried, I felt ups,
Yes.
I felt downs.
Yeah.
There are stories in there
There
that
are.
are going to help people, and then there's everybody is a character. Nora obviously being one of the most charismatic little
Yes.
4-year-old, but all of your siblings, because you have a brother who's gay. Also, there's
Mm-hmm.
a story there that it's about him coming out. He's going to help. I mean, like, and then
Absolutely.
your relationship with everyone, and it is really beautiful, and that
Thank you,
everyone
yeah.
coming together and every character that's in the show, is really their own star. Your sister has her own story.
Yeah.
Everybody has a thing, and you really curated that in such a great way. I
Right.
mean, really, in 30 minutes, I laughed and I cried and up and down, and it was like
That was really great.
yeah.
And you know what's funny about this process is that like it's like you all have seen that piece and it's like it's so great and like you know like your family's, but to get to that point even was so
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
because like you know
Yeah, people don't get the pre-production
Yeah,
that
I
goes
mean,
into these
it's-
things and the hard work that goes
it's
into these things. It looks so
ridiculous.
effortless because the family is this way, but it's hard work.
but what it is like people don't understand is like you have to. So here's a fact. Okay, it might not be fact because I'm terrible with numbers, and so if I say it's a fact and it's not a fact,
But I love that you're calling yourself out already.
yes,
Because
yes.
that's very
No,
authentic.
No,
I say
And
facts.
I love that.
Of
We
course.
say things
No,
are facts
you know,
all the time.
the other day-
Literally, Crystal confuses millions with billions every day. Every day. She's like, millions or billions? I'm like, slightly different.
No,
Slightly different.
the other
But she's
day,
like, fact.
I'm in Malibu, a little beach house, right? And I'm like flirting with this girl, and like we're just talking, and I'm like, yeah, you know, like I have a place down the street, you know, like Malibu's like it's a great place, but you know, it's only like it's only 8 miles of coastline. Like Malibu's a very like small and whatever place, and she's like, oh my god, I didn't know that, and like she's like, that's crazy, and I find out after Malibu is 21 miles.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
it's
And
like a lot
so
more-
I'm like, I haven't.
Yeah, it was a lie.
She doesn't know
Just
that
lie.
I was
No,
like,
yeah.
she's gonna look so stupid one day when she's talking to someone and she's like, Malibu is 7 miles.
And
I'm like,
I would repeat it too.
and, yeah,
I am that girl.
Because
I just repeat other people's
I literally
facts.
said
I
have
hear
a,
things, I take them as a
I
fact,
go-
and I just repeat them.
I go,
do that
I
all
go,
the
I go.
time.
I have a house down the street. Like I love Malibu.
But really, it's like 42 minutes away because Malibu, it's like the traffic. You're like, I'm gonna drive an hour now to Malibu. Like it's like nothing close.
I have a question to segue. Oh,
but back to
yeah.
this really quickly.
Tell us.
Roughly 10,000 reality shows get pitched per year, right?
Didn't know that.
Out of those like 10,000, about like 200 get a presentation, which is what I got. It's like a
Oh, wow.
in-house program to where like you basically the network gets a chance to really get an in-depth view of how you will be on camera, you know?
Yeah.
And then after that, about like 10 to 15 shows make it to air.
Wow.
And so like right
Yeah.
now, like we're at that 200 point, and then we're going to be hopefully
Yeah.
those 10 to 15 shows.
Yeah.
And so it just says that like it's never easy, and I think that like people see the end result and they're like, oh yeah, they're great. We all knew they were great, but like no one was like. There was a point. I had a roommate, and I remember like we partnered with this production company. I created the sizzle, and then
Yeah.
we took it to a production company to like partner with us so we could take it to a network. And they were so excited about it, and I was just like, yes, we got it. Like it's like I'm just like feeling so good. And then a few weeks later, like they bring me in. They're like, "So what's like the story behind your family?" And I'm like, "What do you mean the story? Like you saw it. Like we're fun. We're like, we're a black family. Like all these like pieces. Like you don't have this on TV." So they're like, "Yeah, but what's the story?" And they start explaining to me about these like shows and like like the you have the Braxtons and things like that. Where like Tony Braxton wanted to be. I mean. Tamar Braxton. No, the Braxtons have a show on WeTV, but it's like
I didn't know
they
that.
have like one of the things is Tony Braxton's sister, Tamar. Okay. Don't talk bad about that family.
Oh God, I love her. No, I love her. What's the song?
No, Tamar Braxton, who's I love in my life. I love this lady so much. She was basically Tony's younger sister, and they like found out that she wanted to sing. So that's like drama. She wanted.
Is that what the show's about?
But it's about. Kind of, they said that's what like sold it. It's because they
like
found
that
out,
was the take.
Yeah, they found out the sister wanted to be
good?
like the bigger sister. She's a good singer. Oh, yeah. But like with us, they were just like, "What's your shit?" And I'm just like, "We're great. Yeah. And that production company was like, "Sorry, we're gonna pass."
Yeah.
So at that point, it's me with this great sizzle that I think is so good, and I'm just like sitting on my couch, and I remember this day. I have a roommate, and I'm just like, I don't know what the next step is.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I have like, and the production company giving me hope that like we're just an easy seller, and like I guess after some inside talks they just like passed on it, and I was just like so defeated. And then I was like, you know what, this is I just like had to believe in myself and this product, and you have to like if even if you're wrong, you still have to like believe in it.
But also I think from that, I mean, to me, because like that's like clearly a moment where you probably learned a lot about, because you do need like a shoe drop and an angle and like a better pitch, right?
Exactly.
And you're right, like you guys are just like a really great fucking fun family, and people are gonna love watching you, but you know what, it wasn't a good enough pitch. And like what a shitty moment, and like how disappointing, but like how wonderful also to get that moment young so that you could really sit down and think about the answer to that question, and then show up to that next place and be like, this is the answer and it's the perfect answer, and now you're moving to the, you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I say this, like, people, I think it was Will Smith. I saw a video with him. He's like, for me, there was, like, no plan B. I didn't have a plan B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, with being, with my dream is, I always said I wanted to become an EP when I was 27. Like, I was 30 now, so I'm like, this shit has to happen. And I had... my plan B, of course, is like, this doesn't work. I have to go back working for other people's shows and like being a slave. Yeah. But it's like, this, like, I don't have a plan B for what I want to do in life. And so, like, from what makes me happy,
Yeah.
Like working on other shows, like there's moments of happiness, but overall it's just like, I felt drained because you're giving your all for someone else's idea.
Yeah.
I'd rather give my all for my idea.
No, and this is the story of, right, any successful person, every CEO, they say it's like how many no's you hear before you hear yes.
Exactly.
How many times it's like, this is in your autobiography.
Exactly.
10 years from now, that story is going to be there was these pinnacle moments in your life where you were shut down, and it's like, where do you go? But you didn't stop believing, you didn't stop pushing.
What's funny though? My dad, because I told my dad, I said, Dad, I don't want you to be involved in this process. I want to sell this show myself. And so my dad was on this talk show, The Real, and usually it was a Warner Brothers show. Also, he's worked for Warner Brothers, and he was like the head of Warner Brothers development was there, and he was just like, so and so Amir has a show idea, like you should check it out. And I was just like, in my head, I'm like, oh, I wish I was like, okay, here he's trying to butt into my business, but I'm like, yeah, it's a great show. And she's like, I feel like everyone in that situation, when someone says that, like, oh, my son has an idea, you're like, okay, he's so cute. Like, he has an idea. We'll set up a meeting with him and the development team, and, like, we'll see how it goes. And so we came into that meeting, me and my partner, Simone Spira. Fucking Simone, you're the best. Simone Spira, we went in there we came in there with the deck, with our sizzle reel, and they were blown away. And they said, you know what? We could literally take this to networks right now, sell this show. Made like 3 adjustments to our deck, and I'm telling you, this was during COVID, so like all over Zoom and stuff. and we ended up selling it within 4 months.
Hell yeah, baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I have a question. So when you said you were like, I always wanted to be an EP by 27, what does that mean? Because like, and I only ask that because I see this a lot, that people are like, I want to have done this by this point, or like be this by that point. But I don't know if we always ask ourselves what that means, or like why. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
sometimes there's a version of what that means, but what does it actually mean? Like what does it mean to you, or what is an EP by 27?
Yeah, I mean, and I guess
you know?
I guess in TV it's a little bit different than film. Like
Yeah.
film, it's like if there's, it gets a little bit like wish-washy with the credits. But with TV,
Yeah, that's true.
it's yeah, exactly. Seriously,
That's true. It's like, yeah.
this guy like he wants that EP credit, so he gets it, or like
Yeah.
this and that. With TV, it's more like you're an EP. First of all, you have the showrunner,
Yeah.
who's like handles all of the day-to-day
Yeah.
in the television show, and they're the showrunner EP. Like
Yeah.
they're just like the ones everyone on the producing team answers to, and like runs the day-to-day.
Yeah.
Then you have like the executive producers who may work for, let's say, like if there's a Warner Brothers company and you work the head of development, you get an EP credit on all the shows that you help develop. So sometimes like with those shows, you work on a salary.
Yeah.
So like those, having that credit doesn't increase your salary. You just have that credit.
Yeah.
Which is very powerful also in the long run
Yeah,
if
in the long
you
run,
Yeah.
if you go work for yourself. Also, who gets the EP credit is the person who comes up with the show.
Okay.
So and sells the show.
Okay.
And so, like, for me, it's like I wanted this EP credit. Like, if I knew that, like, I'm in an environment from a family that's very well connected. And, like, or I'll say this. My dad, Keke Palmer, I don't know if you know who she is, but she's a very vibrant, like, great black actress. And she is just, like, her personality is, you can't describe it. It's very, like, you get sucked into her, and like she's very speaks her mind, and just a wonderful person.
Yeah.
And my dad was on a red carpet with her one year, and he was just like, she was just talking to him, just like
Yeah.
being lively, and he was like, "Girl, you need a talk show." And then
That's how she got a talk show?
no, he took it to his
Oh, yeah.
company, Warner Brothers, and they were like, "She's amazing." They said that in the meeting, she was talking about Aristotle and like making all these references that were just like unbelievable. And she was 18 at the time,
Yeah.
and so they were just like, they gave her, she got this talk show, and he was EP of it, and he didn't have a lot to do with like the day-to-day productions, but he was the person that brought you either bringing in talent or you bring a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he brought in a very great talent, and like was the created the show.
Yeah.
And with that, you get a little passive income, but you also get like that credit to where people are like, "Oh my God, Judge Mathis is a producer of this show. Like,
Yeah.
I want to take him my idea so I can like, see if he can help me with my show."
Yeah.
And out of those, 700 shows that people bring him, there's probably 2 good ones that
Yeah.
he could
Yeah.
maybe
he,
sell.
He has the eye for this. Your dad,
He
great
has
eye
a
for this.
very great eye.
Yeah. Would you say you've kind of gotten that eye as well?
Not yet.
Honing in on it.
But what
I
about?
have to be it's because I like my dad and I, we don't agree on a lot of things,
Yeah.
and sometimes I'm right, most of the time he's right.
Yeah, but you know what?
And
But
it's like-
I actually appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's honest, and I
Yeah.
think that it's if you can be in a place where you can actually be aware that you don't know everything. I think you're in a
All
much
of us
better place.
should be in that place.
Yeah,
100%.
No, but a lot of people are
Not
not.
100%.
know everything.
But
Yes.
I think a lot of people go through life thinking they do know
know
everything,
things.
Right.
and I think it's actually to their detriment.
Right.
Because then I think they're constantly running into walls, not really listening,
Yep,
not
yep,
really
yep, yep,
learning,
yep.
not
Absolutely.
really improving. So I
Absolutely.
think that's a really great way to see things is like through this authentic lens where you're like, honestly, he's right more often than me. That makes sense. He's been doing this for a lot longer. You know?
Exactly.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Also,
And so, but I would say my biggest thing is this: I want to become an EP of a show. So I was younger, because what exactly is the chance of happening right now? It's like I right now have about like 6 shows that I've created treatment for, or like a deck for, and
these are shows that you created.
created
Okay, that you're
like
pitching out.
that I have on ready.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
But here's
Yes.
the thing, though: like if this show gets picked up, then
Those will go.
within my contract with my production partner Simone Spira, great person,
we love you.
we get a production deal with that network.
Yeah.
And so what our advantage is like approaching people, or people approaching us and being like, "Hey, we're EPs of this show. We have a production deal with this show. If you have any ideas," and our contract stipulates that they have first right of refusal.
Yeah.
So that means that every show that we bring to them, they have to view it,
Yeah.
ingest it, and say yes or no.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's like a leverage that I've always wanted because, like my dad told me when I was very young, the hardest thing to do is get your idea in front of people. And like literally, I have people on LinkedIn who hit me up all the time. They're just like, "Hey, I have this script.
Oh my God, I get that too.
Exactly,
all the time.
And they're just like,
Email.
do you know anyone at
so funny.
CIA?
I'm like, I
Do you
don't
know
have
anyone
money.
at the
To fund your movie, but I love that you were pitching it. But yeah.
But it's like, and out of those ideas, I mean, there's some great ideas out there.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
like, there's like, and I would say that that's what I look forward to is the opportunity. Because I feel like I have great ideas, and not even the millennial, like, I have such great ideas, no one's listening. But it's like, I've done the work it takes to like understand the industry.
Yes,
Yeah.
you
And I
have.
think
You really
that
have.
like, it just takes that one successful product to let people say,
gotta
okay,
tell you.
what else does he have?
Yes.
Well, and I think also something that I think is really interesting about you that I relate to, and I'm curious when you had this moment, but I had been a producer for many years before I did anything with myself as on camera talent.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like I always thought, well, not me. Right, because
Yep.
there's so many talented people, and so like I'm just gonna find the good things,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna find the good scripts, and I'm gonna help other people make their vision because I know how to get things done.
Yeah.
And then the more I started doing that, the more I was like, wait, but why can't I write the thing? And then I was like, wait, but why can't I
say the
be
words that I write.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like, and then all of a sudden it was like, instead of like, it was like, but why not me?
Right.
It was like, why did I decide from the get-go that like me on the side,
Behind camera.
you know what I
versus
mean?
In front of
Versus-
camera.
yeah, and it's like, and so I'm just curious, like, what that moment was like for you. Like, when did you decide? You're like, you know what?
And
why
I mean,
not me
it-
are
on
you
camera?
comfortable
No,
too? Because
I
a lot
mean,
of people behind camera are like, I'm weird in front of
So
camera.
I'll say this, and like I'm very like expressive with my intentions in life,
Yeah,
and like, so I had a vision board
I love vision boards.
before COVID, and
one every
I
year.
went to, this vision board like meeting with my company partner Simone Spira, great person. But we went to this vision board together, and like we created a vision board.
This is a vision board for the company.
No, vision board just for life.
Okay.
Okay.
I like that.
And that
Okay.
it had like,
Tell us all the things on it,
so
please.
it was like
all the things.
it was
All of them.
it was one was all right, so one was like sell a show, the other one was get married.
Oh, we'll talk about that
Yeah,
in
we'll
a
be
second.
talking about
Get married. The other one was be great to family and friends, improve self-help. No, improve just taking care of yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Bettering yourself.
yeah,
every
and it was
day.
also one was, just be there for people, and there were like a few more, but it was literally everything that I had. Because what happens with these vision boards, and I work for Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey's I don't care what anyone says about Steve Harvey. The guy is he's a G.
He's a G.
G as in genius.
I've only heard good
G
things
as in
about him.
G. G as in gangster. G as in God damn it, man, you're doing it. But like the guy
He is doing
literally,
it. He's
like,
fucking
and
doing
he used to have these speeches during taping. Like I was a producer on the show. Like worked in the producing team, and literally he stressed so much vision boards.
Yeah.
And like, because the thing is when you create a vision board and you put it up in your room.
Yeah.
And you have it in a place. Mine was just like in front of on this desk or whatever. And like when you wake up, like you see it.
What is your vision board? Is it visuals? Is it photos? Is it words?
Photos.
What's yours?
It's photos and
Photos
words.
and
Well,
words.
everyone's is a bit
Photos and
curious
words.
what
No,
yours
so
looks
mine was like photos, but I would also find like headlines and like
Okay.
mixed and connected. I didn't write anything, but I would
Okay.
I would definitely take headers for each article, like you're great. And like, so showed, and like it was like rap party and like all these things that like we didn't have the rap party. That's one of the things, but like no, it was launch party, and we didn't. That's not yet, but
It's coming.
But it was like in the bigger scheme of things, like you see these things every day, and it's so powerful because once you see something every day, like you don't even think of,
believe it,
you don't
yeah.
even like, you make subconscious moves to like get to that point,
Yeah.
And I feel like I found myself just like, even just like I don't know this by example, but it's like, oh, I'm not gonna go out tonight, I'm fine. And it's like, usually you would have, but like, since you saw this thing every day, like, I need to wake up and, oh, mine was working out, getting fit. I'm like the healthiest of my life right now.
Yeah,
seriously.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you know, you see these things every day and you're like, if I do that, that will take away from what the goal is.
Yes.
It's funny.
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
So I have a really funny side story about a vision board. So I do vision boards every year, and
Amazing.
I absolutely love them. And one year I had this vision board where I really wanted to do a TED Talk. I was really, really excited to do a TED Talk. So I put a picture of this woman holding a mic and doing a TED Talk. And it was, and so I ended up that year getting hired to do stand-up comedy for a TED Talk. And there is this picture of me, and I swear to God, it is like identical
Beautiful.
from my vision board. I have a mic, and I'm like
Oh,
this,
yes.
and it's like, it says like TEDx like right behind me, and there's like a full
Very
crowd
beautiful.
of people, but I like didn't give a TED Talk. It was still like,
Wait, so
You
much
literally-
energetic.
But I'm telling you, and so
I am
I'm
not
telling you,
doing vision
and that's what I
boards,
say
you
too.
know? Tell
It's
me
like,
about
it's
these.
the unknown.
people-
It's the unknown.
For people
It's
that
a
don't know
lot
about
of
vision
the
boards,
unknown.
which love me,
Yeah.
like what? Yeah, I want to know.
So
like,
so
this is so
here's the
cool.
thing. Here's the thing.
Tell
You
me.
know, a lot of people say like, I want this, I want that, and next year I want to do this, I want to do that, right?
You envision it.
So
and
like,
you're-
no,
okay.
but it's easy to like say those things out loud at one point, and then forget about it on a daily basis. You know, and like
Okay.
forget about the dream. Everyone has their New Year's resolution, right?
Sure.
I want to get into shape. We all know that every fucking day after New Year's, the gym is completely fucking
Yeah,
booked
yeah.
because
Yeah.
everyone's completing their New Year's resolution. But as March comes by, as February comes by, and March,
Yep.
you literally like it goes back to normal.
Yeah.
So a vision board is, if you put on that vision board, I'm gonna work out every day, or I'm gonna work out consistently.
Okay.
You see that every day, and so when you get to like March or whatever, you're looking at that board and you're just like, I gotta do it today, because you see it and you're like,
You see it every day. So you put it somewhere, and it can be cutouts of anything.
Yes.
It can be words.
we can do it together.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
make one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I'm,
make
like,
one
really
every year.
excited, 'cause
Yeah.
I have
think
all
about
the
these
stuff
things.
too.
Oh my God, let's
Yeah,
make.
I have
yes.
glitter.
and you
I have
just
stickers.
you have,
Yes.
what you have to do is have like 15 magazines piled up,
Yes,
and you
I'm
go
so
through the magazines,
excited.
Yes.
and you go through it, and you just look at what catches your eye. Like one I
'Cause
saw
I
like
think I know what I would put on my
Yeah.
vision board.
Yeah.
You know.
easily.
Yes.
Easily.
Wildlife crystal.
So I was at
animal
this event, right? It was really funny. Just sidetrack really quick. I was at this event, and there were like vision boards, and it was all these People magazines, and I'm like, I couldn't relate to it because I'm like, it was all these white people. So like, I was literally like, I had to go up and be like, do you guys have any own magazines, or like I need to like have some.
black people.
I need some black people to like for me. But it was like, everything happened that year, and I keep telling myself like, oh, okay, I don't need to make a new one because it's like everything's happening, but it's like you do.
Yeah, you have to keep making a
it
new
going.
one.
Whether
So you're supposed to make them every year.
but you can but you can also do like long-term things that you keep on. Like
Okay,
I have
okay.
so here's what pushes me.
Okay.
People are like, what pushes you, Amir?
Please tell us. Indeed. What pushes you?
And I like to get this out because it's gonna happen.
Hell yes.
Yes, it is. I love it.
I'm very
I
like
love it.
I know it's gonna happen.
I believe you.
In 10 years.
From today. In general.
In 10 years.
Okay.
I don't know about today. But in 10 years, where I see myself in life is being able to fly 15 of my closest friends out to the south of France, all first class, for free, on me, and spend 14 days on a yacht together.
I love it. I better
You know?
be there.
And so, like, with that,
Are we invited? Are we counted in the 14? That's all I really care about right now.
100%. 100%.
Yay! Okay, keep going. I'm interested. I'm curious.
You're interested.
That's like a no doubt. That's a no-brainer. Even though I do feel like, you guys would be like, you don't have to pay for my flight. I'm like, no, I got it. Don't worry.
I will let you pay for my flight. Yeah. No problem, Amir. I have
pay
no
for my
problem.
flight.
You pay
Crystal
for
will
my
be like,
flight.
you don't have to, but
Oh,
I can't
no.
take it.
Oh, I will let
But
you.
it's like-
I will
and-
easily
and like-
let you.
But honestly, it's like I see myself reaching a level like that. And so it's like that's the big goal that I see, But like,
I like that.
within that goal, you have to amass a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And with that goal, you have to, yeah, exactly. Like that's like the dumbed down version. So I don't have to like say all the steps that I want to accomplish.
Yeah.
But that's like the end goal is so I can be comfortable enough to do that without like complaining about, I have to pay for 15 flights. We can't go. We got to go to Target tomorrow. But we love Target. We love Target. We love Target.
We do. Actually,
Target.
lot of
What's up?
but no, I agree.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like,
15
but
people,
that's like
Yes,
my,
it is,
like some people have like this intricate, like, I'm like, that's literally like because my parents had a friend who did that.
Nice.
And they, flew everyone in. They did like 30 people. And it was all these, like, it was extravagant. It was whatever. And I was inspired by that. I'm like, that's the goal is I have so many family members who have never seen, things that I've seen. Like my dad's from the projects of Detroit. And so like what I want to do is like create this experience that people can like experience and like they don't have to pay for anything. You can like enjoy life for 2 weeks and like be in this, abyss.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I like this.
it's like but it takes a lot of work to get there.
Yes,
And it takes a lot of sacrifice.
Yes.
So, about that sacrifice.
And so that's why the show
I have a question.
doesn't scare me.
So I have a question about that sacrifice. So, and I know that I know this is a hard conversation, but I also, you let me know how much you want to share. So you were also married and now just very recently divorced during COVID while you were building the show. Right. And while you were pitching so like to me, it's like a year of so many milestones, so much happened. Right. And so what was that like? Like, what was it like to be going through getting married during COVID and like being, building this show and then like that not working out and, just kind of give me a little bit, on what this year has been like for you, because I feel like you've really gone through a lot in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's tough to like speak on that because it's like in the end, like it just sucks that it didn't work out. That's
I
like
hear that.
that's like the hard part.
Give us a background so we know you very well. But,
Okay.
How you
Okay.
and your ex-wife met, and then
Yeah, and let's
kind
keep
of
out the names just so like,
and
make it
just
easier
kind
on
of
everyone.
how that progressed, and then also the fact that it was like how did COVID, and then how does explain all the things like support and the show, all the things together.
I mean, all right. So I met my wife, who's my ex-partner now, when I visited a country overseas, and we met on a dating app. And
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we
That's
met on a
incredible.
dating app. The first day I was there for 7 days. I extended
Wow.
my trip to like 14 days, and I stayed with her. Didn't see
Wow.
my friend who I went to visit for 10 days straight.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
incredible.
So it was like a very
I didn't know it was a dating
organic
app.
love
Wow.
story,
That's beautiful.
And I think that what happened is that like, I envision, like, I came up with this show 4 months into our relationship. I'm like, this is like, and I expressed that to her, and like, it was something that I asked her if like, this is something that you'd want to do, and she was like, yeah, I love it, I'm down. I don't know if she said I love it, but she was down.
so just for the view, like this is a very important part of the story. It is actually.
Yeah, I mean, but I would say that like we're both on board, and I think that like from then on, like coming from a experience where I tried to like do a reality show around this community center, like in the back of my mind, I'm like, how can I still accomplish this goal of like maybe a family reality show and like all these things, and so long story short, it's like. From that point on in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm visualizing like, okay, I'm going to get married. I'm going to, like, we're going to do this show. And like, we had a little viral moment when, she visited a show I was working on.
I remember I remember you showed me this.
Yeah. And so like, no, it's not going into details. But we had a
Very
viral moment.
interesting.
We had a viral moment that was viewed by 60 million people.
Wow.
Very viral.
And-
I did not know that either.
Yeah,
Look
yeah.
at me, I'm just
yeah.
in the dark.
Yeah, it's okay. But like we
love
did,
you. I'm
and
just
even
so
with
in the dark,
even
yeah.
with that experience, I'm like, we have an audience already
Yeah.
who like loves our love story.
Yeah.
And so how can I capitalize on this? How can we like capitalize on this? How can we how can I branch this to like how fun our family, like everything is. So I came up with this TV show, and it was like, at first it was based on us and her moving here.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And like,
Yeah, because that was I also remember that because she's from a very different culture, different part of the
exactly.
world.
And so
yeah, totally.
I think that I'm not afraid to admit that I bypassed many red flags. And I think that she bypassed many.
Can I ask you why? So, in relationships, and we all go through relationships where sometimes we let these red flags go, and I always like to ask people why. Like, and everyone, why?
I think it's because this. For me specifically, it was like you see like you get tunnel vision.
Yeah, of course.
And so I'm like, okay, we're on the same page about what we want. And like what we are willing to sacrifice and like, the journey. And with this, like we could create and I'll say this, my dad's been on TV. My parents are very well, comfortable. I don't have shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I've like not substantial amount of money.
Yeah.
Like I have,
my parents,
my dad told me the other day, he goes, you have a high net worth, but you ain't got shit. It's so true. Like, I have I own my property that I live in. I have a trust in all these things that offer comfort. But in terms of hard cash, like, no, I have to work for that.
Yeah.
And, it's true. And I thought.
I mean, and that's, by the way, I know it sounds, obviously, that's a lot better than most people will ever be in the world.
Exactly.
But it's also complicated emotionally to feel like you do already have all these things, but the reality is that you don't have the hard cash, like you said. So you're kind of living into
I thought
realities.
It was beautiful though, and I want to give my kids the same, maybe a little bit more, because I want them to be like. I hated as a fucking kid. My dad's like, you can't fly first class because you need to learn how it feels to like earn it, and I'm like, no. If I flew first class, I would learn how to not fly first class. But
so
different story. But what I would say is that like,
well, the smallest violin.
no, exactly. It's oh my god.
Anyway.
But what I would say is this, is that I was in my mind, I'm like, wow, okay, like I met this person who, we could create something together. We could literally like do this show together and starting, I'm not starting from nothing, but we could start this, we could do this together. Like she's not coming into a situation where it's like a guy where it's like, I have all this money and all this whatever.
You're building together.
Yeah, we can build together.
Yeah.
And so I got tunnel vision and I ignored, and I'm not even gonna say red flags that were created by her, but just red flags within our relationship.
Yeah, within your value system maybe, or within like differences that you guys didn't notice.
Right, because what I don't want to do is like throw her under the bus and be like, there was nothing that she did that I didn't do.
Yeah.
It was us, like moments, like we both fell in love with the fairy tale.
Yeah.
And we were blinded by the reality of life.
Yeah.
And so I think that once she like got here and like she got here before COVID.
It was shocking for her.
Yeah.
I think in LA too. We had several conversations where, because like LA is a place. I mean, and I remember there's this one time.
LA's different from Europe,
It's very different from where
in Europe.
She came,
I would say this,
and
especially Scandinavia.
Yeah.
Very homogenous society. In those societies, like everyone believes in the same beliefs.
Yeah.
It's like they're hardcore Republicans or right side is like are moderates. Like you really have like you really
live in a socialist society where it's very
not socialist on paper, but like we call it socialist. but I would say this: cultural differences and also like you I think that a lot of people say when you in that situation, especially like with me and her, like there were a lot of like you would say something that you feel passionate about and that you didn't really agree with. You're just like, yeah, okay, me too. And you go along with it because you want this bigger story to happen.
Yeah, you want it to work.
You want this love story to like captivate people's eyes and you believe in it also. Yeah. But once the reality hits that like, okay, I didn't realize that like I had to be this vulnerable.
Yeah.
And like with me, you guys know me. Crystal, you really know me. I don't hold shit back.
No, he
Like-
doesn't. He is
like,
like an open, beautiful book.
I'm
Yeah.
seriously like I've gone through some traumatic incidents where I've just seen how how life is just like can go out of life can end
Of
like
course.
that.
Yep.
And so I think that after seeing like death and all these like things, like you see how literally like all right, put the drink down here and another drink. But I would say this, like when you go through experiences in life, like you either like I realized early on that like life is meaningless to a certain extent. Like, but listen to me before you say something. All right, life can be taken from you like that.
Yes.
In our entire lives, 2,000 years from now, no one's gonna know who Amir Mathis is. Like even Plato, like in 5,000 years, they're not gonna know who people that we know from 2,000 years prior. So to me, that means that life is pretty like irrelevant. But what that also teaches me, like, if life is so meaningless and irrelevant, then why not do whatever the fuck you want and succeed in whatever you want?
Yeah.
Like, why not work your hardest? If it's all meaningless,
Yeah.
then why not like put it all on the line?
Yeah, live your best life.
If you fucking fail,
Yeah.
then it's not gonna mean shit.
Yeah.
And if you succeed, it's not gonna mean shit either. But
Yeah.
you're gonna be happy.
I agree with that.
And so like that's
Life
how
is
I
short.
look at life, where it's just like literally like the person that like for me it's like what makes me happy is treasuring my family, making
Yes.
in the prospect of making a lot of money because I can travel, I can do things, treating people good. My dad always taught me like you literally serve, it makes you feel better, and it does.
Yeah.
And it's like all these things is like pointless, and so like you might as well just like give it your all.
I agree.
Okay, yeah.
And-
And I have a question
Like
too.
me being on TV vulnerable,
and
that's
then-
nothing in the bigger scheme.
After that, sorry, because we do have to wrap it up. So do you want, because I think we literally have one or two more questions.
Okay. I
Time-wise.
have one bigger question and one tiny question. Ha.
Okay,
So-
but then your tiny question is the last question.
But it didn't work out. I think this is it. It didn't work out because things came to reality to where like we were very different people,
Yeah.
wanted very different things, and we went through therapy. We went through all these like challenges.
I want to commend you for that, actually.
Yeah,
for
you
therapy.
actually recommended my therapist.
Yeah, the therapist.
Our
she's our
therapist.
Love
it's our
that.
family
She did.
Therapist who helps with our family,
Great.
and we think she's so beautiful.
Great.
That's wonderful. I
And
love
yeah,
that.
and we recommended.
And we went to her for 8 months,
You
and
guys
like we
gave it
tried, we gave it our
yeah.
all. But I think that in life, there's a certain point where you realize that like if it's not pure and you're not like supporting that other person, like me supporting her dreams and goals, supporting mine, and it's like you want to change that person. We were married for under a year, and it's like
Yeah.
we had to get married because for her to come here to even experience life for more than 3 months or 30 days or whatever it's like we had to get married.
Yeah.
And I think that like we both realized that like it's better to call it early before we have kids, before we have
Yeah.
all these finances that are entangled,
Yes,
and like
entangled
Yeah.
finances and
it's
kids,
like
yes,
let's
yes.
just like realize what the future will be, and that neither of us will be happy.
Yeah.
Okay,
Totally.
Well, that doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is separate than that.
Yeah, please.
And I have another, and then a baby question. So my bigger question is, what advice would you give to viewers? Let's say I actually think that you kind of answered about marriage and things, and but I would say about your career, because you really are doing it.
Yeah.
And we are all so proud of you, and you really like. You and your family are already huge, and this show is going to be huge. But I think everyone would want to know like maybe like if you had one great advice to give.
I would say this: never attempt anything alone.
Oh.
Like find like you two did this show together. It's a collaboration.
Yes, and we actually we were each gonna do this show alone.
Yeah.
I was gonna have my podcast. She was gonna have hers.
But even-
we wanted each other as guests in our podcast.
Right.
We were like, wait, we should just do this together because we have the best time together. And I think it's actually so nice.
And
to
it's
have a
even
collaborator
like this
that, yeah.
though. Even if it's like you guys did it together, but even if you have a producer who's like you can do it alone on air, but like have someone who believes in something as much as you do.
Yep.
Because like me, like I had like if I didn't have my partner, my production company partner, I would have given up on this show based on what other people Yeah, we have fucking Dan right here.
I know.
Behind the camera.
Roscoe
But seriously, you have
And then we have Roscoe.
you have 3 people who believe in this
Yes,
show
yeah,
more than
we
anyone
really
in the
are
entire
team
world, you know?
Yes.
And like for me, I had a person who believed in this as much as I did, because I'm telling you, there was a point where my family, they all agreed because they were just like, okay,
We love you.
but like I was very adamant. My Simone was very adamant. Like, this shit is gold. We're gonna sell it.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, get that person, because you don't. Sometimes you can have the illusion of like something is different than it actually is.
Yeah.
But if you have someone who's like, who you can talk to, strategize with, and like, you know, you both give 100%, then anything is possible.
Nice. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you,
We're
guys.
so excited to have you.
Wait, our very tiny question is, does his skin look freaking amazing?
Yes,
Wait,
it
can
does.
you just tell us about your skin? I was actually asking about before. Your skin looks so shiny and beautiful, and I think everyone just wants to know your
Yes,
skin regimen.
okay.
Your skin looks amazing. That's all. That was my
So
tiny.
once I found out that there's a possibility of me being on TV, you know, all right. So here's the
I do
truth.
actually
Here's the truth.
Right.
My ex, who's a fucking kind, great soul, but my ex, when we decided, like, she had this regimen, you know, that she did every night. It took like 30 minutes. And when it got towards us doing our presentation, I started doing it, and I realized the difference. My face was glowing.
Wow.
So when we actually
You're
separated,
literally glowing,
when we,
Melvin.
no, when we separated, no, when we
It's
separated, I was leaving out of town because I'm like, I can't be here. I took a picture of everything in the bathroom. And I was like, I'm not fucking leaving without this
Before
shit.
she leaves.
to get these.
Before I leave, I was in exile for a bit.
Is one of the things called SkinCeuticals? No. Okay. Never mind.
It's not.
Okay.
He sent me that.
Dermot, yeah, I sent her every picture.
Okay, we have to wrap it
But
up.
it's
But
like,
you'll send us.
yeah, I
You'll send
will.
us
I will. I'm telling you though,
Dermatologica was one of
it's all about retinol at night.
Retinol?
A little
Retinol.
retinol at night. Like,
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Sunscreen,
Amir.
sunscreen.
Amir Mathis, everyone.
Yay!
Thank you. Cheers, everyone. I appreciate the love.